My name is Lieutenant Marcus Hale, and I am recording this statement without authorization because the official silence surrounding what we documented at Research Station Kronos has become a form of complicity. The blue light we filmed on December 9, 2025, is still there. It has grown, and 16 people are missing. I need to state this clearly for anyone who finds this recording. What we saw was not an atmospheric phenomenon. It was not ball lightning, not an aurora, not refracted sunlight through ice crystals. The Defense Science and Technology Directorate knows this. They recovered our equipment. They saw the footage. The light measured at 2.7 petahertz, which places it beyond violet, beyond ultraviolet, in a range that should not produce visible light at all. Yet we could see it. We could all see it. Station Kronos is located at coordinates 74 degrees south, 102 degrees east, approximately 840 kilometers from the coast, in a region of the Antarctic Plateau where the ice sheet reaches depths of 4,200 meters. Our team of 12 was conducting routine seismic surveys when Corporal Jennifer Voss noticed the distortion on her ground-penetrating radar at 0340 hours. She called me over because the return signal was wrong. Not absent wrong. The radar was receiving echoes from beneath the ice, but the time delay indicated the reflection was coming from a depth of -600 meters. A location above the transmitter. I told her to recalibrate. She did. The reading remained. Then Private Chin aimed his handheld LiDAR at the same vector, and his face went blank. He showed me the display. The laser rangefinder was measuring distance to a point 140 meters away in open air, but there was nothing there. Just the night sky and blowing snow. I walked toward the coordinates he'd marked. 20 paces out, my thermal imaging goggles registered a temperature drop of 63 degrees Celsius in a column of air roughly 4 meters wide. No wind explained it. No equipment malfunction explained it. That is when we saw the light. It appeared at 0347 hours, precisely vertical, extending from the ice surface upward into the sky until it vanished from sight. The color is difficult to describe because it existed in a spectrum my brain kept trying to correct. Blue, yes, but blue in a way that hurt to perceive, as though the wavelength was pulling at the interior of my eyes. Voss started filming immediately with the hardened military camera we used for environmental documentation. The footage is 18 minutes long. I have seen it 47 times. I wish I had never seen it once. The light was not uniform. It moved within itself, flowing upward in bands and streams that seemed to pass through multiple layers of reality simultaneously. I could see the stars behind it, but also through it, and also reflected within it at angles that made no geometric sense. When I moved my head, the light's position relative to the horizon did not change in the way a distant object should. It was far away and directly in front of me at the same time. Chin approached it. I ordered him to stop. He did not acknowledge me. He walked forward until he was 3 meters from the edge of the light, and then he knelt in the snow and removed his glove. I screamed at him. Voss was screaming. He extended his bare hand toward the light, and I saw his fingers enter the blue column. He said, and I quote from the audio transcript, "It goes down forever. I can feel the bottom, but it is also the top. There are rooms inside. They are filled with people who have not been born." His hand was inside the light for no more than 4 seconds. When he pulled it back, the skin was unmarked, but he could not close his fingers. He stared at his hand and began to cry, repeating that he could still feel the rooms, that they were stacked in directions he did not have words for, and that something in one of the rooms had noticed him. We dragged him back to the station. His hand remained open, fingers splayed, for 16 hours. When he finally fell asleep, I heard him whispering coordinates in his sleep. Coordinates that placed locations inside the Earth's mantle, inside the sun, inside structures that do not exist. The light remained visible for 11 days. During that time we documented the following. At 1920 hours on December 10th, the light began emitting a sound. Not audible through the air but transmitted through the ice itself. We felt it in our bones, a resonance at 7.83 Hz, the same frequency as the Earth's ionospheric cavity. But it was modulated, pulsed in patterns that repeated every 41 seconds. Dr. Sarah Cohn, our geophysicist, analyzed the waveform and found it contained nested information, recursive structures that encoded additional patterns within each cycle. She said it resembled a fractal message, but the information density suggested the signal was compressing data from a source with more than 4 spatial dimensions. On December 12th, Private Okoye walked outside during a scheduled surface monitoring shift and did not return. We found him 6 hours later, standing 200 meters from the light, facing it. He was frozen solid, but his eyes were open, and the frost on his corneas had crystallized in patterns that matched the waveform Cone had analyzed. When we brought his body inside, we realized he was still breathing. Slow, shallow breaths, 1 every 8 minutes. He remains in this state. His body temperature is -40 degrees Celsius. He should be dead. On December 14th, I made the decision to send a drone into the light. We used a quadcopter equipped with stereo cameras, radiation detectors, and atmospheric sensors. It crossed the threshold at 1,105 hours. Telemetry continued for 9 seconds. The temperature reading spiked to 4,600 Kelvin, then inverted to absolute zero, then displayed a null value indicating the sensor had encountered a condition it could not measure. The final video frame showed a corridor, impossibly long, lined with smooth surfaces that reflected the drone's lights in recursive patterns. The walls were breathing. Smooth surfaces that reflected the drone's lights in recursive patterns. The walls were breathing. The drone did not return. 14 minutes after we lost signal, it began transmitting again. Not from inside the light, but from 9,000 kilometers away at a location in the Arctic Ocean. The timestamp on the transmission was 3 weeks in the future. Command ordered a full evacuation on December 16th. 2 helicopters were dispatched from McMurdo Station. The first landed successfully and took 6 personnel, including Chin, whose hand had finally closed but who now claimed he could see through solid objects if he focused on the spaces between atoms. The second helicopter approached our position, circled once, and then diverted without explanation. The pilot, Captain Ruiz, radioed that his instrumentation showed our station located in 2 positions simultaneously, 400 meters apart, and he could not determine which was real. That was when people started disappearing from inside the station. Sergeant Dow was in the galley. I saw him pouring coffee. I turned to speak to Voss, and when I looked back, he was gone. The coffee was still pouring, the stream falling into a cup that was overflowing, but Dow was not there. We searched for 3 hours. We found his jacket in the storage bay, folded neatly, with a note in his handwriting that read, "I have gone down to the place where the light comes up from. It is larger than the sky." Cone disappeared from a locked sleeping quarter. Voss and I were standing outside the door. We heard her gasp, then silence. We broke the door open. The room was empty. Her laptop was open, displaying a seismic scan of the ice beneath the station. The scan showed a hollow space, a void in the shape of a perfect dodecahedron 12,000 meters down. Except our previous surveys had shown solid ice to bedrock. I need to explain what happened to Voss because it is the reason I am making this recording alone. On December 18th at 0220 hours, she woke me and told me she understood what the light was. She said she had been reviewing the footage frame by frame and had noticed that the stars visible through the light were not the stars visible beside it. The light was showing us a different sky. She calculated the stellar positions and determined that the constellations matched no known perspective from Earth. The closest match was a view from a point 48 light-years away, in the direction of the constellation Aquila, but rotated in a manner that suggested the observer was looking back toward Earth through a nonlinear spatial path. She theorized that the light was not an object but a boundary, a seam where our dimension was pressed against another. She said something on the other side was holding the seam open, and that the people who disappeared had not gone missing, they had been translated. Moved along an axis we could not perceive. Then she looked at me and I saw that her eyes had changed. The pupils were dilated, but the dilation was not round. It was hexagonal, faceted, like the aperture of a camera built for spectrums we cannot see. She said, "Marcus, I can see you in the other place. You are standing in the room with the blue ceiling. You have been there the entire time. We all have. This is just the part of us that has not arrived yet." She walked outside. I followed her. She walked directly toward the light and I could not stop her. I tried to grab her arm, but my hand passed through her shoulder as though she were made of smoke. She turned back once, smiled and said, "It does not hurt. It is just the opposite of being born." She stepped into the light and I watched her body disassemble. Not violently. Gently. She came apart into layers, into cross-sections that spread outward and inward simultaneously, each layer perfectly preserved, perfectly whole, stretching away into dimensions I could perceive but not comprehend. I saw her skeleton, her organs, her nervous system, all separating along planes that did not correspond to physical anatomy. I saw deeper structures, patterns of light that must have been her thoughts, her memories unfolding like blueprints. Then she was gone and the light pulsed once, brighter, and I felt something shift inside my chest. I am the only one left at Station Kronos. The light is 80 meters from my position. It has grown. It now covers an area of roughly 19 square meters and has begun to emit secondary filaments, thinner columns of blue that extend horizontally across the ice. One of them passed through the eastern wall of the station at 0600 hours this morning. It is in the corridor now. I can see it from where I sit. I have been measuring my shadow. Under normal light conditions, it extends in the expected direction. But under the blue light that now permeates the structure, I cast 7 shadows. They radiate outward at angles that violate Euclidean geometry. One of them is moving independently. I can hear the rooms Chin described. I do not hear them with my ears. I hear them in the space behind my thoughts, a vast architecture of places that should not exist, stacked and nested and folded through themselves. I hear voices in those rooms. Some of them are speaking languages I do not recognize. Some of them are speaking my name. 3 hours ago I saw myself walk past the window outside. I was wearing the same clothes I am wearing now, but I was translucent and I was walking toward the light. I did not see myself look in. I do not know if I am still at Station Kronos. I do not know if Station Kronos still exists in a single location. When I look at the maps, the coordinates have begun to drift. Sometimes we are in Antarctica. Sometimes the GPS places us 600 kilometers above the surface. Sometimes it cannot find satellites. The second helicopter never returned. Command has stopped responding to my transmissions. I do not think they are ignoring me. I think the messages are not arriving. Or they are arriving somewhere else, some other version of this event. I'm going to walk outside now. Not toward the light, but away from it. I need to know if there is still an outside. I need to know if the horizon is still where it should be. If you are receiving this recording, then some part of me succeeded in sending it. But I do not think you are receiving it in the same world where I spoke it. I think the light has divided us. I think there are many versions of this event now, radiating outward, and you are in one branch while I am in another. The blue light is not an invasion. It is a revelation. It is showing us that the world is thinner than we believed. That we have always been adjacent to spaces we cannot survive perceiving. That the distance between here and there is a matter of perspective, not of travel. I can see Voss in the light now. She is waving. There are others with her. Dao, Cone. People I do not recognize. They are smiling. They are trying to tell me something, but the message is encoded in a direction I do not have the senses to receive. My shadow just stood up. It is walking toward the light without me. I think that means it is time. If you find Station Kronos, do not approach the blue light. Do not touch it. Do not try to measure it. It is not a phenomenon. It is a door that was never meant to open and it will not close. We are all inside it now. We just have not noticed yet. This is Lieutenant Marcus Hale signing off. Or signing in. I'm no longer certain there is a difference.